Hello everyone, welcome back for a new Strategus video. Today we keep going with tutorial 11 already. And I want to discuss a few tips about positioning. It will be a very short and very general video because I don't think there is a true way to position the pieces. It's just a few basic principles I want to say. Actually, there are two. The first one is what I would call let your army breathe, and the second one is don't let your opponent get the high ground. And for all the Star Wars fans, you know what this means. So let's imagine a situation. We move here, we move this, and for a certain reason, no, we move this. So the captain takes the sergeant, right? We are afraid, okay, for our lieutenant. So let's say we move here, and so he moves this piece. We move our major up, and this is a mistake because he will move this captain right here. And now, if we move the major up, most of the player will try to get it, and our lieutenant is unguarded, and indeed there is still nothing to get it. So we want to avoid this situation, right, where you only have one strong piece to cover, and it's really hard, especially in the beginning, to move the pieces as you want, right? You want to be able to breathe. So one thing I would recommend, also when you start the game, let's say that we have a known captain here, right, and you have a lieutenant. Instead of leaving the lieutenant here so that the captain will try to sorry for that, the captain will try to move here and will block basically you from doing anything, right? Because if you move the major up, you are blocked. Well, instead of that, I would recommend you to move your lieutenant up, so you have breath space, you have air, you can move your pieces more freely. And if you have your major here, then after a certain move, whatever it is, you can move it up. And let's say you move this, you can move it up again, he may move it, but at least you can escape with your lieutenant instead of moving 300 paces in the back. So this is what I would recommend you to do, is like go as up as you can, like on next to your opponent's field, so that you have more space in your own field to organize your pieces in the back, right? So in a sort of way, I will try to draw this, but again, I don't know if my skills are so good. So we want like to have our pieces at least in this region, so that we can organize our army. Sorry again, didn't mean to do that. So that our army can move here, right, and develop in this region here. So we can back our pieces, save them if necessary, playing with the 2-square rule. Now, the second thing I wanted to tell you was something I was recommended by a previous world champion, so I think it's worth listening. Something that, since I managed to get used to that, not rule, but let's say good approach, makes me much more better in the opening. And the rule is that you don't want to leave, let's say, your captain to be surrounded by two pieces, right? This is something you really don't want, because one piece could attack your blue captain, and there is, if it takes it, there is still the doubt, what is this piece? Is it covering, right? Especially if you have your own piece, well, maybe not a marshal, but let's say you are bluffing, you put a piece here and it takes it, or let's say this is a major, right? And let's say that you have your gen, so he takes it, right? You're still unsure if you want to attack with your general, because this one may be the marshal, it may not be, then it goes on the feeling. But you prefer to avoid this situation where there is a doubt, right? You prefer to work with certainty instead of working with incertitude. So instead, what I would recommend is that when you have a captain here and you have something which is menacing, so let's say a major, which is willing to come, so you can, for example, move one piece, he moves up, and then you move up. And so if he is moving this piece here, at least there are no two pieces covering the like surrounding the captain, and he still has a doubt. Like if he attacks the captain, maybe you will charge with this piece in his field, right? So that's not something he wants, and you're quite blocking his situation. You can even double block it if you then put another piece in the back. You can then decide to sacrifice this piece. You know this one is the good one, and then you have the 2 square rule. Or if you find out this is not the good one and that he doesn't attack with this one, well, you can make some pressure with this piece. He may retreat, and then you can push again. So this is just all I wanted to say about positioning. Just a few recommendations. It's worth what it is what it is. You can take it. It's not the best tutorial, but I think it's just a reasoning not to have your piece in between two enemy pieces, especially if they are unknown. It can be a strategy, of course, if you have your major and you have, let's say, two unknown pieces here, but you expect nothing bigger than a colonel, so you may be willing to capture two pieces at a time. Of course, this may be a good option, but you really must be sure of this. Then, about positioning, the only thing I would say is that as long as you can pressure your opponent so that he can't breathe, so you want to forbid him from breathing, as I was saying, as having air space behind the front lines, you are already in a winning position. So basically what I mean is that as any time you can go up next to his field and start a sort of invasion, forbidding him to move, that's something you want to do, because he can't organize his pieces, so sooner or later, as he is forced to move, he will have to sacrifice a piece. Of course, don't do this with too high pieces, but try to do that. So that's it. You can even do it with a scout, actually, because if your opponent doesn't want to risk, he will not risk it. Right, so that was all about positioning. I hope this can be helpful. I don't have many recommendations about positioning, except, yeah, making a lot of pressure, because it will be extremely disturbing for your opponent. Thank you very much for watching, and see you soon for the next tutorial.